comfortable to be straight out, let's start with ahimsa to right at the beginning and bend your knees. Let yourself notice that your body is supported. Right here, right now, there is some goodness, right, to be found, right, just by feeling the earth behind your back. So take a nice deep breath in through your nose. Let it out through your mouth, really long and slow. So as you're inhaling, almost like you want to just feel like you're inhaling as deep as you can. Bring it up to the crown of your head. Hold it there for a moment. And then exhale it out really long and slow. And just like let it all come back down. As you're exhaling, relaxing a little bit more. Just kind of let your body settle. Just take one more breath like that. Nice and deep. Inhale all the way up. Feel it kind of travel up to the crown of your head. Hold it there for a moment. And then exhale through your mouth. Just let your mouth, your jaw hang. Just let your body rest as you're exhaling. Just let it out. Let the day go. And rest. And just return to your natural breath. Let's check in for a moment. And just start the class just by noticing this physical body, right? Just notice maybe where it's resisting the ground, where is it pulling away from the floor. So just a brief travel down through the body, just as you notice where your head is rested, where it touches the earth. Can you allow your facial muscles to soften as if floating back towards the back of your head? And then take a breath and travel down your neck and into your shoulders. Just notice what's here. Is it tight or tense? Relaxed or at ease? And just take a breath. Let your exhale just maybe soften or bring an ease or letting go into your shoulders. And then just as you travel down your spine, just coming to the upper back and between and around your shoulder blades. Just notice if there's any pulling away from the floor, if they lie flat on the floor. Take another breath, right, and just kind of see how does that feel, right? Is there, what sensation is there? If you care to check, right, it's always an option. And then we've traveled further down the spine, just kind of almost like walking your awareness down these 26 vertebrae. And slowly down to the lumbar spine and the sacrum. And then take a breath, right? Maybe you feel it into your lower abdomen, and as you exhale, the whole area of the pelvis relaxes, and we notice just how these muscles are organized today. Notice your glute muscles, your piriformis. And then you notice just how those internal organs feel. And just take another breath, right? We're kind of gathering up all those rampant energies that we have all day and bringing them back into our body. So just notice your legs, right? The whole length of your legs. Travel down the bones from your hip joints to your knees, from your knees to your ankles. And take a nice deep breath and just kind of feel how those muscles are right now. Is one leg feel different than the other? Do they feel soft or tense? Good. So just welcoming in this Monday evening body just as it is, without anything to change, but just notice how it is. Notice now, maybe travel into awareness of the quality of your mind. How's your mental state, right? Does it feel like a calm, smooth lake? Does it feel like a monkey's jumping around in a bucket? Is the chatter kind of all over? Just notice how your mind is right now. Let's take another breath. Settling in. So you bring your hands, you could rest your palms softly on your abdomen. Actually, let's bring one to the heart and one to the abdomen. Start to notice the rise and fall of your natural breath. You might start to deepen that breath a little bit, feeling the belly expand out against your hand. And as you're exhaling, letting the belly gently pull inward. So the inhalation then expands the belly, and we might even feel a bit of rise in our chest as well. And the exhalation lowers our chest and our belly both. So the exhale is when we let go, when we soften. And as you take a couple more breaths like that, let the exhale, as it softens you through your heart space and your belly, be a receiving. Just receive the breath. So we breathe it in, and we expand and we fill. And as we exhale, we send it out to all parts. So as we're releasing and relaxing, we're sending out these warm sensations of breathing to all parts of us. So being kind to ourselves. Rest your arms by your sides. Take a couple more breaths like that, just sending ahimsa, or non-harming, warm exhalations through your whole body, just as best you can. And if it feels uncomfortable, just notice that. Is it hard to bring those, that non-harming to ourselves? Sometimes it's hard. Just notice that. And your next breath in. Let's take a stretch of our arms overhead, lengthen through your legs. Right, feel the whole body get longer. The 26th vertebrae, create some space in between each one. Good. As you exhale, hold here, clasp your hands, and turn the palms away from the crown of your head. And then on your next inhale, press the palms away from the crown and press your heels away. Squeeze your legs together like a one long straight rod here. Take one more breath as we inhale, lengthen. As you exhale, hug your belly in and squeeze your legs. Here you are in this body. And then inhale, stretch them out again, and exhale, walk your feet in, walk your knees in, and we're going to give them a squeeze. So we're going to bring our knees right into our belly and rock side to side, right? Just roll right over, right? The tissues, the fascia, this back side, right? Just massaging the whole back side. So rock side to side in a way that's cradling your mind, softening your front body. And with a kind attention, right? Come back to neutral. We'll pause. Right, take our feet back to the floor, right? Straight out from the hips and the arms straight out to the sides. And let's actually grab our block. So we're going to have our block and place it right between our knees. So we have some stability here. So as we stretch the arms out to a T, place your feet down, drop right down into this pelvic girdle. So you could even feel the bony structure of your hip bones. And feet are flat. We're going to take our the pelvic rocking, or the arch and flatten. So as you inhale, just create some space behind your lower back. So there's like a rainbow, but our tailbone is on the floor. As you exhale, press your belly down, right? Roll right over your sacrum and press your lumbar into the floor. And you'll squeeze the block slightly as well. So breathing in, just arch your back. You're kind of exaggerating that lumbar curve. And as you exhale, press your back down and squeeze that block just a little. So you're drawing right down into your core. So let's take that about 5 or 6 more breaths, right? So the inhale tilts our pelvis forward. In the exhale, we press the back down into the floor and squeeze the block. So let's deepen our breath here and just massage right over the sacrum, right? The sacrum is like a puzzle piece. It fits right. It's a joint that's movable. So as we roll over it, it might shift a little bit and adjust right into that pelvic girdle. So let's take one more breath and press the back down. As you exhale, squeeze the block, and we're going to hold it this time. Continue to hold that squeeze and that press of the belly down to the earth, and take a couple breaths, but keep holding that, right? Hold the tension. These are bandhas, are locks of energy. So hold for 2 more breaths as your perineum, or the pelvic floor, kind of engages and the lock of the belly kind of hugs back towards the sacrum. Good, so we're coming back deep in our core. And then release it and relax a bit. On the next breath, let's press into our feet, come up into a hip bridge. So we're going to lift our hips. Arms can still be out to a T. We'll just leave them out there. Right, so lift your hips And then lower them back down. So just starting to feel our back side. We're going to take our 4-part pelvic tilt. So that's the first part is the arch of the back like we did before. Second part, press your back into the floor. Third part is lift your hips up into hip bridge. And fourth part is to lower the hips. Good. So 4 parts. We're going to do that again. So inhaling, arching the back. Exhaling, pressing the back to the floor. Inhale, pick up to hip bridge. And exhale, lower the hips. Right? So really starting to feel the warmth build in our lower part of our body. Let's continue that 4-part sequence. Third part is to lift the hips, lower on the exhale, and maybe one more time. So arching on the inhale, exhale to press. We're still squeezing that block. Inhale to lift, and exhale to lower. And pause, right? You can take that block out, set it aside, come into bound angle and rest. So we're going to bring the bottoms of our feet together and really soften here, right? We just did some work to kind of really bring our attention deep into the core. Now let it relax and notice the difference, right? So ease through the groin. Even notice the sound of your breath. And for those of you that are new, just do the best you can with the breath. It comes with time, right? Practice non-harming thoughts. No worries if you don't get it tonight. And we'll bring our feet back up to neutral and pause right here. Bring your hands down by your sides. Good. We're really going to feel these 26 vertebrae tonight. So, you know, we found the lumbar and the sacrum. And as we're going to start a roll up. So just start to tuck the tailbone. Start to find the coccyx, then the sacrum. And we're going to roll up to a hip bridge. So slowly see if you can find each vertebrae. As you're doing that, you're lifting your arms as well. So we're kind of bringing them up and back in the somatic movement, right? These are part of somatic movements, right? To engage that central channel of our body. And we're at the top here. And as you exhale, let's slowly travel down. See if you can find... And it's going to take a few breaths, right? Maybe 3 or 4 breaths. Each vertebrae again. And you might find you're moving in sections. And then time will strengthen. Those are the sections we can start to build a little more strength around, right? And find each part. And then land on the bottom. Good. We'll try that one more time. So just a tuck of the tailbone. See if you can find the bony structure in your back. Right, slowly find each part. Right, as you're lifting, bringing your arms up all the way back. Pause at the top, root down into all 4 corners of your feet. Take a breath. And then slowly we travel back down. Right, so you're probably starting to feel this in your legs. And really good to come into the lower body. We spend so much time in our heads, right? So find the rest of our physical form. So lowering down, all the way down, and then stretch out, right? Take a full body stretch, right? Stretch from your sitting bones to your heels as you press your heels away, lengthening out. Let's take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, float your arms back down by your sides. Good. We're going to bring our right knee, or actually let's grab our block and bend your knees. We're going to bring the block right under the tailbone, or right under the sacrum, supporting your back, supporting the pelvis. So we'll rest it right on there, so not on the lumbar spine, but on the whole pelvis. And inhale your right knee into your chest, and we're going to hug that knee in. So give it a nice squeeze and hold there. So this might be a big stretch for you. If you want to increase that stretch, start to slide that left leg out. So we're going to get into these hip flexors this tonight. Lengthen the left side from your hip to your toes, and then flex your toes back towards your shin bones and take a few breaths, right? So if this is pretty intense in your hips, sure you bring in that softness as well. Breathing deep. And we'll slide that left leg in. All right, place both feet down on the mat. Switch to the left leg into the chest and give it a squeeze, and slide your right heel slowly out if that feels useful, right? So lengthen that front side of your right hip and take a few breaths here. Good. So these deep psoas muscle in our lower back, these hip flexors that attach deep into the groin area, that become shortened when we sit a lot, right? And they can start to be weaker. So yoga does a great job of stretching and strengthening this area. So let's go ahead, place your feet back down, remove your block. Rest your hips for a moment. Let's take your arms out to a T. See how you feel. Good. We're going to bring our knees back up into our chest. And as you cross your right ankle over your left, and here, just a little more watery movement. So just flowing. We're going to take our feet and draw a circle in space. So rocking around on the pelvic bowl. So inhale your feet to the right, so onto the right hip. Exhale, circle your legs around and bring the knees back into the chest. Right, just continue that circle around. See if you find each hip, the middle back, and the tailbone. Right? And is there any place, so as the femur bones are kind of rolling around in those hip sockets, is there any place where you notice resistance or roughness? And let's come back and pause. Slide your legs closer together and touch your feet on the floor, or just your left foot on the floor, your right leg's crossed over your left. And we're just going to drop our knees over to the left, right? So taking a spinal twist, pretty deep on hip stretch and spinal twist. So just see how that goes, right? Taking several breaths to lengthen out your right arm on the floor. Keep the right arm down, right? See how that feels in your body tonight. So one more breath. And slowly just bring your knees back up to center, right? Remove or unwind that leg. Cross your left ankle over your right, right? Bring the knees in towards the lower ribs, right? And then start your circle to the other side. So just several revolutions, right? Rolling around, bringing your feet around in a big circle, right? So here we kind of warm up and bring attention into these deep core muscles and sensation. And as you're exhaling around back to the top, we'll pause. Bring your right foot to the floor, cross your left leg over, and take your spinal twist to the other side. So we'll drop our knees over to the right. Good, and just return to noticing here as your left arm stretches out on the floor. Notice how that left side of your rib cage really gets a lot of kind of open space to breathe, right? That left lung fills that whole section of the rib cage if we breathe deep. Good. Notice if you've tightened in your face or your tongue or your mouth, right? And soften your eyes, and we'll just unwind, come back to center. And let's go ahead and just roll over, and we're going to come on up, come onto your hands and knees, right? So coming into a table position, build that archaeology, right, of the table, or that architecture, maybe is the better word, right? So the four legs of the table, steady and strong, right? Spread your hands, point your index fingers towards the short end of the mat, so our hands are spread wide, and then roll the armpits towards your heart. So we're kind of spinning our upper arms outward, right? Engaging our scapula on the back, and we're just going to look forward. And take a breath, right? As you exhale, find your table legs and push them into the earth, round your spine. Inhale, the belly drops, we look forward. And exhale and round your spine. Good, just continue your cat and cow movements with the awareness of these 26 vertebrae just moving, right? So we want fluidity in our spine as best we can, just noticing that. Maybe a couple more breaths to kind of feel and ignite. Good. As you come back to neutral, we'll just pause right here. Walk your hands forward. So some of you will come into downward puppy, and just this nice heart opening pose, staying on your knees, bringing your forehead down to the earth, resting here as the armpits really kind of widen and get spacious towards the floor. And then others, if you like, come into downward dog, right? We're going to lift our hips nice and high, but send those sitting bones back and lift your knees off the floor. So this one's a little more challenging, so you can choose between the two. Right, so as our sitting bones go high, bend your knees. Keep your knees bent. Bring your belly towards your thighs. And keep your heels lifted for a moment, right? Just kind of bend there. And keep your head hanging between your elbows. So now, as we're bringing the belly up towards the sacrum, we're really shifting our weight back. So taking weight out of our hands as best we can. And take a couple breaths, right? Feel that shape of downward dog. Good. We're going to slowly lower the heels and see how that shifts. Keep a little micro bend in your knees. One more breath. Good. Let's take our knees back down to the earth. Look forward and back into now child's pose. So we're going to stretch the arms out, lengthen the hips back to the heels. It's almost like if you spread your palms, you could, your arms are actually pulling away from the shoulder joints. So like you're reaching those fingertips towards the short end of your mat, but your sitting bones are pulling way back towards your heels. So we get this nice long length in the side body. Right, try that out. Your forehead is down on the earth or in that direction. Doesn't have to be on the earth, but see where it goes. And then take your hands, just walk them over to the right, right? So keep that length in your arms to walk over to the right side of your mat. Good, so now that left lung, nice and spacious, take a breath. Good, and then walk your hands back and over to the left side, even off your mat. Good, as your hips sink back towards your heels as best you can. So now that right lung, very spacious and under the armpit, take a breath here. Good, we'll walk those hands back to the center and bring them back around to your sides and rest. Rest your mind. Let's bring the hands back to the sacrum. So we're going to bring the backs of the hands there. Just kind of touch here, right? This is our central part of our energy center for the right to our feeling body. So as you come on up, we're going to rise up onto our knees. So just bring the pelvis forward. You just feel your sacrum move forward underneath you. So we're going to kind of squeeze the glutes a bit to bring the pelvis forward. And then bring the arms up your sides, almost like you're taking a bit of a back bend, but the pelvis is moving forward. So you want to feel that arch in your back, but strong in your legs, your foundation. And then as you exhale, like bring your arms back down, hug back in, hands to your sacrum, rounding your spine back to child's pose. And let's take that dynamically. So we're going to inhale up onto the knees, reach to the sky, look up. And then exhale, round back into child's pose. So transitioning a few times, let's take that rise up, touch the sky, and exhale back down. Centers of the feet pressing down into the earth. Try that out. Shin bones connected. The next time you come on up, pause at the top. Good, bring your fist to your lower back and sacrum. We're going to kind of press down on the sacrum, lengthen the lower ribs upwards. So we're creating this arch in the back, right? We're feeling, I'm going to take this off so you can see a little better. So we're creating this arch in the back and coming into Camel Pose. So your fists are on your lower back and your lower ribs are lifting, right? So hips move forward. Your gaze could be forward or up. And imagine you're squeezing that block between your legs. Good, take several breaths. I'm going to come out of it. You can stay there, holding that arch, holding that space for that wide open breath, right? Take one more breath as you arch here and hold. Good, and then come back up, bring your hands back to the floor and just receive that, right? Notice the receiving of the breath. We're going to come back up, taking one more time. So come back up onto your knees, squeeze the inner thighs towards each other, fist to the lower back, and some of you might come a little deeper. So you could curl the toes under and back for stability. And this one, next level, might be to walk your hands to your heels, right? So rising from the center of the chest. So whichever place you are, right, support your lower back with those bandhas, those locks we worked on earlier. So that pressing of the belly towards the spine. And the back bending is in the upper body, it's in the upper part of our spine. So taking one more breath right there. So if you're there, right, find it at your heart. Good, walk your hands back up. Coming back down to the floor, hands to the floor, pause and rest. As you take a few breaths, where do you receive this? Do you feel this in and around the heart? Good, and we're going to slide our legs back. Well, you could keep them here and come into a modified plank or full plank. So whichever you choose, lifting your knees if you're coming into full plank. And we're just going to launch forward a little bit, right? So lift your heels so they're over the balls of your feet, right? Your legs are active. So we're not totally down here. We're pressing the balls of our feet down. Feel your legs, right? Stay there for 2 more breaths. And when you're exhaling that second breath, lower your knees, come down onto your belly. Good, with your hands next to your chest. We're going to take a Cobra Pose. So your thumbs right at your side ribs. And the 10 toes pressing down. So feel the legs. Low belly draws in. We're going to lift the chest. So hands remain on the earth. Right, take a couple breaths. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. Low belly's nice and toned. Hold it. And then as you exhale, let it go. Right, return back. Drop your forehead to your hands and rest. Good, so we'll walk our hands back next to the chest. Press straight up into that plank again. Pause and hold. Press into the balls of the feet. Right, bring the heart space through the hands. Hold for 2 or 3 breaths, right? I want you to stay there for a moment. Part of being and non-harming is also committing to going through the tough stuff. and still being kind to ourselves. So practicing being with that intensity for a moment. And when you're ready, just let your knees drop down, send your hips back into child's pose. Good, so all kinds of things to practice and learn on the mat, right? So I'm going to take just a little bit of a flow here, just to feel that sense of connection to breath and movement. So our half series flow and with the inhale coming forward to plank. And the exhale, just taking you down to the earth. Bend the elbows into your sides, right? Inhale, scoop your heart space forward. Lift your chest in that cobra and lower back down. Press straight up and all the way back into child's pose. Good, we're going to continue that sequence a couple more times if you care to, right? Check in. We're going to come forward to plank, lowering as you exhale down, coming into cobra by scooping the heart space forward and up, and then lowering back down. Pressing straight up into the top of that push-up, and back into child's pose. And one more time, if you care to, right? Just find that link with your breath, forward to plank, lowering on the exhale, lifting on the inhalation, right? Feel the lower ribs pull forward and then lowering back down. Pressing straight up and all the way back into child's pose. So, and pause right there, just kind of see how you're feeling, right? Check in. It's a practice to come back to throughout the day, right? Just keep checking in with yourself. Good, we're going to take one more on our belly. So walking your hands forward, lowering down onto the belly. And for some of you, you might want your strap here. And then to come into Bakasana by bending our left knee, cross your right arm in front. So we're going to reach back for that left top or arch of the foot, and as you gently pull the heart space forward, we're going to pull the heel into the glute, right? So that quad stretch. And then here, keep pressing the top of that right foot down, right? So the quad on the right feels suddenly alive there, right? As you pull the heel into the glute muscle, start to bring that heart space a little further forward. So we're lengthening those 26 vertebrae out a little bit. And take one more breath. Good, releasing that. Bind. Let your foot float back down. Rest your forehead on your hands. Good. You might notice after some of these poses, the breath is deeper. Let's bend the right knee. Reach back with the right hand. Bind the top of the foot or use the strap. You could use the strap around the foot as well. And then gently pull your heart space forward with the forearm, right? There's this traction between the lower ribs and the forearm as we bring the heel in. And we're pressing the top of the left foot down, right? Keeping our hip bones square on the earth. And breathe, right? So here's where we meet that intensity with our breath. Good. There's a tendency for the shoulders to want to pop up by the ears. I'm just going to lower them back and down. And then release that bind. Relax your forehead to your hands and receive. Take a few breaths, right, just to notice what feels more open. Like, where does the breath feel lighter in your body? Every pose has an after effect in our subtle body. So let's bring our hands back, press all the way up. Walk your hands in, walk your feet in, and we'll come into a standing forward bend. So we're coming on up, right? Bending our knees and hanging over the legs. So we've done some back bending. We're going to come into this nice deep forward bend. Right, so you might grab either elbow, lengthen out your sides. Let your chin drop towards your heart. Good. As you kind of pull against your elbows out into your hands, like your elbows are a ball going into the mitt of your hands, right? Feel the length from your elbows down to your armpits, down to your hip joints, and bend your knees. Good. We're going to rock our weight into the balls of our feet. Spread your toes and start to circle. So we're going to bring our arms, we're going to kind of come up the right side. Right, keeping the bind on your elbows, come all the way up. I'm going to turn towards you. And then go down the other side. So now we're getting that side bend in. And we're going to circle. Right, so this kind of, it's called nollie. And nollie is kind of this abdominal massage. And we're going to come up the right side body and down the left. So keep kind of pulling those or pressing your elbows out into the mitts of your hands, catching the ball, and take your circle, right? See how that feels, right? Your body's depth. Try the other direction. So reverse that. See how that feels. So how our internal space is anchored by fascia. And as we move, you know, the organs slightly shift, but they're anchored and connected by fascia. So we are reducing the adhesions in the fascia between the organs. Right, so we take one more circle around. I kind of like the sound of that. All right, just being free on the inside. Let's come on up. All right, pause, just float the arms down. See how you feel. Good, it's always good to check in with each type of movement, right? So let's come to the short end of our mat. So part of our flowing yoga 1 is learning our sun salutation. So coming into a low lunge, just to practice our low lunge. Or actually today, let's just come into a warrior 1. So we're going to step our right foot back. Come straight back into this lunge posture where our back leg is like poker straight, and we're pressing down into all four corners. So you're gonna find your, that leg like a tent stake, right? And the weight is in the back leg. We're gonna bend the front knee over the ankle. Nice and tall. Right, so here, right, bring the arms up, right, touch the sky. So here, our gaze is out at the horizon, right, but we find our breath here and now in this moment. We're not looking ahead or behind, we're right here. Good, gently press down into your feet. Find the adductors, the inner thighs strong. And as you're lowering your arms, right, coming into a straight leg, just kind of bow forward, right, over your leg. Bring your hands to the back, to the kidneys. Let's do this a few times. So we're going to inhale, stretch the arms overhead, bend the front knee. And exhale, straighten the knee, bring the hands to the lower spine or kidneys. Right, couple more. So breathing in, stretching up. And exhale, straighten the knee, bowing forward, hinging at the hips. One more like that. Good. Let's come all the way back up to our warrior one posture. And step forward. Good. We almost have all our postures for our sun salutation. Step our left foot back, come into warrior one. Lift up tall. Stretch the arms overhead. Right, stand and lengthen that back leg nice and long. Bend your front knee. Good, so standing on both feet, press down into the earth, lengthen to the sky. Inhale here. As you exhale, straighten the knee, bring the hands to the kidneys, straighten the front leg. Inhale, stretch overhead, bend the knee. And exhale, hinge at the hips, bow forward. Good, one more like that. All the way back up. Pause, right? Find your warrior one. And exhale. And step forward. Mountain pose. Hands at the heart. And then soften your hands just a little bit, right at the heart, like you're holding a dove. Right, so ahimsa, or non-harming. We're going to take a stretch overhead, lift, lengthen. Now as you exhale, bow forward, hinge at your hip joints, folding into your legs, just bend your knees, hang. Let's step our right foot back, come into warrior one, so reach your arms up. And then lower your arms back down. And we're going to step back into downward dog and pause. So as we come through this sun salutation one time, there may be some of you that just want to go to child's pose, and that's okay. Do what you can, right? So exploring. Let's come forward to plank. Lower down onto the belly. Scoop your heart space forward and up, lifting the chest, and lower down. Pressing straight up and all the way back. Downward facing dog. Pause here for 2 breaths. Soften your knees And here's where we take a hop of the right leg forward. Plant the back foot. And we're going to come up into warrior one. Just reach the arms up. Right. Just a quick practice through today and lower back down. Stepping all the way forward. Forward bend. Right. Hang over your legs. Bend your knees. On your inhale, sweep the arms out and come all the way up. And bring your hands back to your heart as you exhale and rest here in mountain. And the next couple breaths, just soften the hands at the heart again. Right, this mudra, hand gesture for non-harming. Right, it's like you're cupping this dove. Let go of effort. Right, we're slowing down, we're winding down. Just let go of effort. And let's come down onto the mat. So if you have a folded blanket to sit on, we're going to come onto that folded blanket and have your strap available. Okay, just getting more lengthen your lower back so it helps to sit on something. So then we can keep our natural shape of our spine. Right, so here we are. So feel that left leg just kind of lengthen away from the hip joint. Right, so we're going to come into Genus Sarasana pose. Bringing the right sole of the foot. So feel your sole of the foot. Slide it into the leg. Right, touch wherever it feels comfortable in your knee. You may bring a block here, right, to support your knee. Good, lifting up. Maybe you use a strap, maybe you don't. Right, we can bring the strap around the foot. Find a lift through your back, right? And we're gonna lead with our heart space, right? Lead with your front body. So start to walk your hands down your leg or hold the strap, but keep that length in your back, right? And for 3 or 4 breaths, just start to lengthen over the leg, right? So there's a lot happening in our internal body as we fold into ourselves like a book, right? It's like closing the book. We fit our rib cage towards our thigh. And maybe we get there, maybe we don't, that's okay. You can slightly bend your left knee without locking it and close your book like a hinge, right? So our length in our front body closes in towards our leg like a book. And then the breath is there to just soften. Let's walk our hands back up the leg, right? Moving that leg out to the side. We're going to keep the strap, if you're using it, keep it on that foot, but just slide the leg out to the side for Bakasana pose or gate pose. Right, so here we're like the door of the gate, right? So our leg is out to the side. If it bothers your knees, you can use blocks here, right? So support it, be kind to your joints. If your knees are not liking the straight leg, hold the strap, right? How can we feel this form more, right? So I love about this practice is like just feeling where I am. I'm here, right in this body. So feel, how can I feel it more, right? So flex your toes, pull the toes back, gently pull on the strap, but lengthen the arms so your back gets nice and tall. And then sweep your right arm up and over. And you can bend your left elbow to kind of pull your left ribs towards your thigh. Right, and pause. We're going to spin our right ribs up and your right armpit up. And can you feel the shape of yourself, right? Can you feel what space you take up? And I like to travel in, right? So once I feel the outer body, start to travel in and feel the inner body. I know this is shifting my stomach and my intestinal tract to the side, right? That squeeze. Good. And let's reach up and release. Feel the after effects, right? There's a little kind of tingle or a movement of energy in our body. Let's shift to the other side, right? Genus, Sarasana on the other side. And these names are Sanskrit names, ancient Indian language. So you could just call it head to knee pose, could be the same thing. Right, reach your right hand towards your foot, right? Feel the shape of your body as you pull back on the strap. You'll feel the lift through your spine and engaging your back, and then start to tip forward, but reach, right? Reach through your heart. Always lead with your heart, right? That's the message of ahimsa. As you hold for a couple more breaths. So some non-harming practices could be, can I be in non-harming all day long by not stepping on anything, maybe more during the summer, killing any insects, going through the day, not harming myself with the words I speak or my words with others. Good, we'll come all the way back up, right? Slide up, but flex your foot, slide that leg out to the side like a door hinge, right? Coming into gate pose. And maybe support the knee if you need to, right? Reach for the foot, find the edges of your body, flex your foot, feel that nice, strong, sturdy lift through the spine, and then bend the right elbow to pull the right ribs down towards the thigh. Left arm up and over, right, forming your gate. Good, this architecture of a gate, right? So we're here, ready like a hinge. We swing open and stay in this shape. Just take one more breath. Maybe turn your cheek up towards your upper arm. See what that shifts for you. And come all the way back up. Releasing some deep hip stuff going on. And set your strap aside. Let's come onto our back and just feel the after effects of our stretches. So come all the way back. So as you come into, we'll just come into Shavasana right now. Just kind of let your Shavasana, the final relaxation, the end of class. And what is this Shavasana? It's rest. And it's surrendering. Just knowing we did our best. That's all we can do is our best. And as you take a more subtle awareness of how your body is feeling. We let go. And if you don't know what letting go feels like, check your body. Every time you exhale, you're letting go. Every time you relax a muscle, you're letting go. And you're surrendering. So let your whole body surrender in this Shavasana. So Nishala Joy Devi writes, in The Secret of Yoga, listen to the wisdom of your own physical heart. A mighty pump, it selflessly distributes blood through the body during your entire life. The heart itself first consumes the fresh, oxygenated blood coming from the lungs. The heart is intuitive enough to know that it must take care of itself, so it then has the fortitude to pump the blood out to oxygenate the rest of the body. It doesn't say, oh, the stomach seems to need the blood because it is digesting now. I'll send it there first. Remembering this simple illustration from the heart we learn that in order to better serve others, we must provide for ourselves first. It is only then that we are inspired to live for the good of all. And this is the practice of ahimsa. Maybe just notice the quietness right now. If you do have a quiet room, the quietness just settle into your body. Notice that your ears are hearing the quietness. There's a part of you that's aware that your ears are hearing. Notice that part that's aware and just start to move a little bit. And notice that part that's aware and just watch this body move. You might just circle your wrists or your ankles. You might point and flex your feet. So you give your knees a hug into your chest. Check in with how you feel. Noticing the quality of your mind. As you roll onto one side and just take a breath there. And stay committed to checking in with yourself. Taking this with you as you slowly move back to seated. Taking the quietness with you. And you might bring your hands back to your heart, and then in this gesture, then soften the hands like you're holding that little soft dove at the heart. This mudra, it's called a hand mudra of ahimsa. And just take a breath here. So that divine light in me bows to that divine light in each of you. So namaste. Sleep well. Namaste. Namaste, everybody. Have a good night. Bye, Diane. Good to see you. And Sharon. And Sharon, you were able to finish the class, huh? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Gosh. Good night, Frank. Good night, Sue. Hi, Tina. Good to see you. Nice to see everybody. Hey, Sam. Have a good night. Oh, well, thanks, Sharon. I hope your sister-in-law is better. I didn't catch the whole story. Oh, gosh. Wow. Oh, my gosh. Wow.
She was injured. She fell off her bike right before my brother died. So she was injured and not sleeping, and then she got some sort of infection. So basically, for the last 4 months, she's just hung in there with, tons of stress. And yeah, my brother's death was totally unexpected. So all that grief and all that stress and pain and not sleeping, and so she just fell apart finally.
Oh.
But she's home with new medication.
Wow. I just keep hearing these stories. I mean, people are going through so many tough things right now.
And she would be like the world's best candidate for yoga and the last person who would consider doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. In the next lifetime, maybe she'll get there.
Yeah. Holly, what an interesting looking room you have with the wood and the shelves. How nice. I met a cabin, a retreat center. How wonderful. Yay for you. A retreat center in a cold place or a warm place. Beautiful.
Okay, Sharon, I'll talk to you later.
Thanks.
Have a good
Bye.
night.
Thank you.
Hey, my dear.
Hey, friends, how are you?
Ah, I'm doing pretty good. For not sleeping well last night. I'm kind of amazed, like the energy that I feel right now, because it really, I mean, this practice, it does just bring the energy through your body. I'll probably crash, but yeah, I have not been sleeping. I wake up at 4 a.m. and I'm awake from like 4 to 6. So.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the meditation, like just interrupting my sleep cycle, or what it is, but I have the most like questions in my mind answered at that time. It's like the divine is like, this is the time for us to teach you right during those hours, and you're gonna, whatever you didn't learn during the day, we're gonna give it to you right now. I'm like, okay, this is how I work. What?
Did you ever try journaling before bed?
Yeah, I would like to do that more. I should. It's really hard because
change things, but sometimes when we do a mental dump, sometimes it can help. But a lot of those stories have talked about spirit waking them up at 4 a.m. and that is one of the times when the veil is thin and the downloads happen. But some people have a lot of success with processing some of the unprocessed stuff before bed.
Yeah, it's a good reminder. I find it hard to do because it's like it feels like the time like I spend with John and Dana before I go to bed, and then I'm just tired, so I just want to go to bed.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be right before bed. It could just be maybe after dinner or before dinner or something.
Yeah. How are you? I love your. This is so cute.
I felt like mixing it up. I was really tired today. I woke up at 4 and I had to get something on my car, so I literally had to get dressed and go out in the beautiful snow.
Oh gosh, burr.
And but yeah, and then it was just I had committed to do 8 a.m. meditation, and so I like turned the thing on and then I just slept through it and said goodbye to them at the end.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I had to do a bunch of work stuff in the morning, but then like by 2 o'clock I was done, and I talked to Layla, and I don't know how I wanted to see how you're doing after the grief ritual, but I just was like still processing. I had a good talk with Brian Taylor, and I've just been processing, like I think the hardest part, the biggest aspect of grief for me is just I mean, in your class is wonderful today, and I'm so thrilled that my inner child is lighting up, my teenager, all these different ages of me when I do yoga. It's like you don't have to go back and heal all that stuff. You just have to bring joy to your body through movement. It is healing for your body to just treat it a different way.
Yeah.
And to feel alive. But yeah, I think the thing that has become most clear to me is just, it was really helpful to talk to Layla and Brian, and just